right. It is another great day here on Black Belts and Boardrooms. It's been a long week, a busy week, but a lot of times I say I'm grateful for being as busy as I am. And the person we have on the podcast today is not only a friend of the show, but also a friend that I got to know, that building relationships I feel so strongly about, and got to have our great friend on here. Amir, who do we have on the show today?
Well, Renard, I was expressing earlier to you and our guest that I'm excited about this conversation for a couple of reasons. One is I want to learn about the name of the company that our guest leads as the CEO. And I also wanted to learn about his history, primarily because I think he has a history that will resonate with a lot of our listeners. So I'm excited to present to our listeners today Mr. Vic Peram. He's the CEO of Veritis Group. Did I pronounce that correctly, Vic?
That is correct. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Vic, let me start by the name first. Tell us about how did you even choose the name Veritas? Because I'm thinking Latin, and
Yeah.
verity in Latin means
Yeah.
truth, if
Yep.
I'm not mistaken.
That is exactly right, Amir. So it is, Verity is one of our core values for our company as well. So if you look up the core values on our website, it is there, Verity. And it always intrigued me. I used to be an infrastructure guy. So you know what is when you're an infrastructure guy, which you work with the Veritas at some point of time, an old company, right? So, and I'm like, okay, how did the word Veritas come in? And I started to get the etymology and verity. It came from the word, and I'm like, hey, can we name our company Veritas? No, you cannot. so we need to figure out a way to actually derive a name out of the word verity. So, and that's how we operate as a company. We ensure that everything we do is even the micro decisions that we take and the way we run the company are based on that little word called verity. Makes it easier for a lot of us. People ask me, how do you sleep? I sleep within 2 minutes. How? Because that's how we run the company and that's how we live. Makes it easier in our dealings with our clients. So, for example, um, one of our sales team is a sales team member was working on a proposal today, and my statement was simple, like, do not commit to anything that you cannot deliver. The chances are that you would want to underpromise and over-deliver. That is what we should aim to do, but not overpromise and underdeliver. So, and keeps us happy. In all candidness, it keeps us happy. So, uh, I don't know. It's a culture that we built over the last 21 years. Uh, so I know I gave a big explanation for that little word, but I would like to brag about it a lot because that is one thing that keeps us going in the long run. So,
Well, I love the way you framed it. I can sleep at night in 2 minutes because we tell the truth. I think that's a very powerful framing for a company and a business model. And I'm sure, we'll talk more about your company culture too, because I'm curious to learn you as a leader, how do you look at that? But before we get into that, I want to know a little bit about what Renard calls the origin story of our guest. So tell us, how did you decide that one day you were not going to be a systems administrator? Because we all have an operational background here. That was probably a big decision in that moment. Walk us through that. What did you realize, and why did you decide I don't want to work for anybody else?
yeah, it's a cool story. I don't want to take any names, but I had some good bosses and I had some bad bosses. Bad bosses taught me what not to do, and
Mm.
good bosses taught me what to do. So, but my last boss was a very good person. So he taught me how to do things, how to treat people with respect, and still be able to achieve the goals. Um, the decision to become an entrepreneur uh, was kind of it's kind of derived because of number one, the need, and also when my boss, I was a contractor. My last gig was with Verizon. I was a contractor there. My boss went to my company, which is a services company, and he said, like, I need people like Vic. He just showed my resume and he said, I need people like Vic. That's it. So that gave me a testament saying that, okay, you have created a benchmark. So at one point of time now, what do you do for yourself? And can you create much more value rather than just one client? Can you try to create much more value than just one client? And the entrepreneur streak was always there from the time I was young. So I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, always dreamt big things. Um, and so I think that was the kicker. And this incident wherein my manager came and said that, we need people like Vic, just share the resume and said that. And that actually reiterated my, I would say, my confidence to be able to take the step. And of course, our company has been bootstrapped. So from that humble beginnings, whatever were the savings, it's see the story of the beginnings. We used to fix the tables, we used to fix the computers and all of that stuff ourselves to be able to train people to be able to build a service industry. So there was a lot of sweat, tears, and blood and all of that stuff. So that went through the whole process, in the initial stages. So the good thing is there are a few team members who are still there with me. I have and team members who have been working with me for 21 years. So, and they still want to go until I don't know when, but I'm glad that I'm able to create that kind of camaraderie with my team and trust with my team. So,
Vic, one of the things that Renard and I talk about is partnerships. It's hard enough to start a business on your own, and it sounds like you've got a core group of people who helped you build this dream. Tell us about when you were ready to jump into it. Did you just say, hey, I've got 3 months of runway, I'm going to go do this? Or did you start by identifying core people who would be part of your inner circle who would come together and build this together? Walk us through that journey. How did you decide? How did you build this great company of yours?
I think I didn't have much runway. It was like 2 months of runway or something like that. It was a big risk for me. So, but the good thing was we pretty much, there was a friend of mine who suggested that, hey, you're good at it. Why don't you start with consulting division? So we were first training company. So we were just training people. And then, of course, starting up a company, it all requires a lot of sacrifices, right? So that close friend of mine, he could not have the patience to see the vision. And that's what happens to every startup. People are not there. They cannot see that vision, long-term vision. Then later, my current team members came in and I was able to convince them, saying that you're here for a greater good. And we started building up that team one by one. Of course, this is life. So people's goals will converge and people's goals will diverge. So people's goals with my team members whose goals we have synergy, they are here still, and they are enjoying the benefits of working with this organization for the last 20 plus years. Yeah, if you're making me think back today, so like 20 years. Yeah, initial stages it was tough building because people would not have seen what we are today like 20 years ago. So it was very, very difficult to convince people to stay. So, but once they get into the rhythm, then people start to understand, oh, so this is how the company is going to run. I can see a future with this company, and I'm going to benefit out of my relationship / partnership with the company. And that's what we continue to do today.
I hear a lot of courage in your story, Vic. I mean, it's hard to appreciate the present without, appreciating the past. So when you think back on the core team that you put together, what was your thought as a leader? what kind of culture? Because obviously you're very good at building a vision and people buying into the vision, because your team is a testament to that. How did you get yourself as a new leader of an organization trying to build this team? How did you bring your mindset into the culture building frame?
I think everything is in the name of the company, Amir. So we had some ground rules that we want to be truthful to each other. There is no politicking in the culture. So we had some very, very good ground rules. So let's be truthful to each other. Yeah, if there is something that did not go as well, let's talk about it. So people make mistakes. I made $1 million mistakes. So if there is a mistake, let's talk about it. We'll be fluid. We'll think about what's next. We'll not be able to think about what happened or can we change anything in the past. So, so I think the most important thing with, if I look at people who are working still and the cultural dynamics and all of that stuff, it's much more about the trust. It's like so clear. We can look into the eyes and say that, and we talk about families, everything so fluidly. I don't know. I wish there is a rule book for that. So saying that, how can you build this? Within 6 months, how can you build this rule, this trust and the fluidity of human to human communication. That is what I would say. You absolutely. I'm becoming a little bit philosophical on that matter, but I think uh, I think that definitely needs to be researched. But it did take a lot of time to build the trust, but once we build it, we never thought back. And today, they can just walk into my office and just say, "Okay, you screw up or you suck." So those are the kind of things that I do hear from my team members sometimes, and I'm fine with that because that is some candid feedback that they give me, and they say that these are, and there are some decisions that they help me take, um, and that changed the direction of the company as well. Of course, not every decision I took, what they suggested, not all the suggestions did I take, but yeah, some were extremely good, and the suggestions that I did not take, I screwed up. So I accept that. And that I think as a leader, you need to understand that, yeah, you can be the boss and you can be the CEO of the company, but you need to be open to that feedback system. Otherwise, the companies will not last for long.
You actually hit it on the nail about especially being an entrepreneur and having a startup. A lot of companies don't make it that long, and definitely be you should be congratulated on having a company for 21 years because most companies can't even make it 2 years, depending on but looking at the back to the 21 years that the company has been around, a lot of technology has changed over the years. How has you and the company pivoted through those changes in technology?
The simple answer I would always say is the buck stops with me, right? I need to set an example. So, being an infrastructure guy, uh, as a company, we had to adapt and adopt to the new technologies, adapt to and adapt new technologies. So we moved from being an infrastructure services company to virtualization, then cloud, then DevOps, then data, then security, and AI. So constantly, while my team was getting ready for the changes and all of that stuff, being a services company, what is our business? We are into technology arbitrage, right? We we create that edge wherein we learn technology and we become better than any other company, and we are able to sell those services to our clients. So in order to be able to speak to my team intelligently, I made it a disciplined. I created disciplined cadence to be able to learn the technology first, and then be able to speak to my team. I obviously do not like to have conversations that are not intelligent. So even for the AI aspect, I went through this whole 1 year. In fact, I took about 8 courses in AI, and my final one was with McCombs, 1-year course with McCombs, to ensure that I knew what I was speaking about. So, and that is a good example for my team members as well, all the technologists as well, because they look up and say, yeah, you know what, it'll be good that I come prepared to this meeting with him, because it's not that he's going to understand 10% of it. He's going to understand 70% of what I say. So continuous, it's a matter of continuous learning as an organization, and for me as well. It's a matter of continuous learning to stay relevant in the ever-changing world of technology. This is something that I had to share. So somebody asked me some time ago, what is the difference? I have friends who are in the garment industry because I was in the manufacturing sector before I really jumped into it. What is the difference between these two sectors? There, the product remains as is. We are wearing the same kind of clothing for the last hundreds of years. Here, the product life cycle is about 6 months. That's the most aggressive side. 3 to 4 years, that's the most conservative side, right? Within this 3 to 4 years, if you did not change, then the company does not exist. And with AI coming in, my 3 to 4 year story has changed to 6 months right now.
Mm.
If you do not adapt within the next 6 months, there's got something that is going to come up, and you better be on top of the chain. This is a classic example that I used with my team 1 year ago on the development team. The phrase I said was, hey, this is a wave. Either you ride the wave on top or you're at the bottom of the wave. So I would request that you guys start riding it. So the team understood what was coming up. So, and they pretty much upskill themselves to be able to understand and code and all of this stuff with AI today. So, which is great.
You hit on one spot there, and it was about soft skills, or like I like to say, upskilling for the most part. For you as a leader and a CEO, those soft skills are very key for you. Do you feel that there are other people in your organization that you look as someone you might want to mentor to have those soft skills, maybe to also step into a CEO role, maybe at your company if you decide to retire at some point, which will you look like you're not going to retire anytime soon, of course, or it might be at another company. Are you doing a lot of mentorship in the organization?
Constantly, right? You always look at the org structure and see like who would be the next person to take your position. I have a couple of people whom I identified already. So constantly there's a quest to see whether they're going to be able to fill in your shoes. And if not, how do you ensure that you actually share that or communicate with them saying that, hey, I'm looking towards you to be able to fill this? How are you getting ready for it? It's a soft pressure on them.
Mm.
Because they have families, they have their life and all of that stuff. Suddenly I come into the picture and say, yeah, are you getting ready for this? Because tomorrow you want to be there. So it's a constant effort as a leader to identify who's next. And I've been doing this for the last couple of years. And I've been trying to uh, bring whoever I thought into upskilling them. Whoever I thought would be able to fulfill that role to start to upskill them at that, because as an entrepreneur, you have to learn everything. So I had to take accounting classes. I had to take multiple classes to be able to understand what my team is doing. Like, in all candidness, when I started, I was just a technologist. I did not understanding how the accounting system worked, how the PL works, and how the balance sheet worked, and all of this stuff. over a period of time I had to learn. So, and obviously when your team members are not in that role, either they are technologists or either they are operational people. So there's not a chance that they, in their daily lives, they get to look at the other side of it, right? So it's kind of an uphill task for them. So I have to softly work with them in terms of this. And I do send them to training in order to be able to get the holistic picture so that they can understand, oh, so this is how the financials work, profit loss, balance sheet, cash flow statements, and all of that stuff, which they would have never seen. So, but yeah, it's a constant quest because personally, I feel that Veritas is a baby that I need to closely guard. And I look at it that way. I look at it as my kid, my second kid. So I closely guard the company very, very carefully. In order to be able to fill that position, we don't want somebody to come in and say that, you know what, I took that decision and the company is not doing well. So we have to be very, very careful about that. So,
Mm.
and as an entrepreneur, as a first-time entrepreneur, I think my thought process is different, but it's just like you have multiple kids, you get used to it. So maybe once we have the point wherein I'm ready to retire, and I'm going to be like, you know what? Yeah, let her do what she's supposed to, or let him do what she's supposed to. I'll just watch. That's it.
No. Now you should definitely, like I said, commend it on 21 continuous great years. I'm sure during that time, like you said, year 1 looked a lot different than year 5 or year 10. So those times look different, but it's definitely commendable. I wanna talk about your business has been nominated and I think also won Great Place to Work. So that means the people and the culture has to be there. If you could just talk about the culture, how do you feel about that on a regular basis? What are other people in the organization saying about the culture, and why do you have so many people that have been there so long?
I think it's um, human to human interaction. We just make it very simple. If you take out everything, if you take out any uncertainties in life, if you take out any need for human being to interact differently rather than how we are supposed to interact, just as straightforward, humans will completely act differently. They'll act with just, they will not be worried about that the other person is going to take what I have. So that insecurity will not be there. So when you walk into the office, we want to ensure that you feel the same, that you should not have any insecurities. You should not feel there'll be a scenario wherein there'll be injustice. So that's the kind of culture that we try to build. And whenever I have the conversation with my team members, seldom there are scenarios wherein we go and have this. I try to tell them like, guys, this is what we are trying to achieve. So this is my thought process that we should achieve it by this time. What do you say? And I ask them to explain. For example, today morning we were doing a review of a task on a high priority or high visibility task on a new venture that we're talking about. And my team member was leading that. He came back and said, I gave him 1 week. And he came back and said, I need 2 weeks. And I said, could you please explain to me why you need 2 weeks? And then he came back saying that I didn't have this information. So, because this is a completely new project for him and he's leading that project. But we have other team members who have already done this. And I said, why don't you reach out to him, that collaborative aspect? And I immediately got them onto the call. So, and they started speaking about this. Hey, you did this and so on and so forth. And he was happy. And I just met him short while ago that he was able to speed up his timelines because he got some immediate guidance. So that's the kind of culture that we don't want the other guy to feel insecure and all of this stuff. And so also our guy not to succeed. So when we got onto the call, it is like, hey, I explained to him, hey, this dude is working on this project. You already did this project. Can you please collaborate? And it was such a synergistic collaboration. And both are happy that one person is happy that he's able to help. The other person is happy that he's able to speed up his deliverables. So that is the kind of collaborative culture that we build. Yeah, I think everything just boils down to human interaction. And we remove the insecurities, things just flow. Just flow.
Sounds like a wonderful culture to me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So Vic, I want to come back to AI for a second because you know as a services company, I want to understand if you see AI as a superpower or do you think AI will replace services business in the future?
Difficult question to be on the record.
Well, I mean, you could taper
No,
your
Amir,
answer
no,
to
I'll
whatever is
take it.
easier.
No, I'll take it, Amir. Uh, it is going to cannibalize, is what I feel. So, and that's the reason Veritas has started building these accelerators in the AI realm. So every service that we are having, we are building accelerators which are AI based. And 5 years down the line, we believe that all of the services will be completely cannibalized by the agentic by products that will pretty much be able to create these workflows that we are doing with our clients at the pace of unimaginable pace. So, so we had to take a strategic decision like 1 year ago. Once we understood what is going to come, whether we're going to stay like this and as a company just cease to exist, or whether we're going to invest in development of accelerators which compete with our services and eventually convert to a product company that has got a lot of accelerators into the for the services that we are serving our clients. So we'll have a bunch of products that will be released. In fact, 3 products are to be released this year to be able to compete with our services business. So let's see how it goes. So it's something that I've not tried. So I'll also learn as a process. So and there might be some mistakes that we do, but I'm open to learning and ensuring that we kind of take those learnings and bring it into our business process so that we are able to serve our clients much more better. So,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you answering that question, Vic, because I'm thinking about where we are today in a moment in history. Because I can't think of another moment in history where we collectively as human beings are learning a new skill together, no matter you're experienced or not, and we're doing it with varying degrees of fear. So if we take your company, you as an entrepreneur are taking a great deal of risk. And I know many of our listeners probably can relate to this too. It's hard being an entrepreneur. Even companies like Google are cannibalizing their search product with AI because they recognize that this is where the world is heading. And they're on the forefront of this with the Gemini model. So what's interesting to me is listening from your perspective as both a founder and a leader, how you're managing the risk and the stress that your teams are facing, given that you have such a stellar reputation in the industry, with great place to work, you have such great loyal teammates. So as you think about your organization in the future and you're said pivoting into a product-based company, that expands not only your scope, but it also expands your reach because now you can enter different markets with the new skills that you're learning. How do you bake that into your company's roadmap and strategy? Do you have different groups of people? Do you just, as a leader, I'm going to set the standard and go forward? Because it's a different frame of mind when it's a founder-led business versus a publicly traded company that's not founder-led. How do you navigate those complexities?
this is something that I'm trying. So I'm going on the record with this. So with this show. So we have these team members who pretty much are experts, subject matter experts at what they do. So with these products, what I'm doing is, again, once they're productized, they're going to be, the goal is to ensure that they are different companies which are owned by Veritas. So, but I want to ensure that these team members who are subject matter experts, they're able to lead these companies to the next level. So my goal is to mentor them from the administration perspective, from the scaling perspective, and they become the partners in the company. So I didn't tell them saying that you're going to lead these. Eventually, you guys are going to be the front faces, and I'm going to take a step back. So while doing so, my goal is to create multiple entrepreneurs who are going to be part of our Veritas ecosystem. It's a big vision. So I want to see that. I want to be, in all candidness, it is something that not many people have tried. I try to do research. So this how it is. At least the plan is to structure it in such a way that we create an accelerator arm, and we help these guys to run those companies, ensure that we give them the flexibility to think, scale, and we give all the support systems in terms of because all of these guys, guys and girls, as I mentioned, they are just technologists. They don't know how to run these organizations. It's going to be a learning process for them. So with this thought process, I believe we'll be able to be much more successful. And in all candidness, I don't need to micromanage them. They will be able to micromanage it once they learn how to run the organization and all that stuff. I wouldn't say the micromanage, but they will be able to manage it to success once they learn how to play the game. They'll be on their own.
Well, I can tell you groomed a great group of leaders, it sounds like, in your team.
I don't know. See, in all candidness, Amir, so these are extremely good technologies, and we're going to figure it out together. So we have the leaders, but the leaders are going to help these guys succeed. So, so that's the plan. Create an ecosystem for everybody to succeed together. Because I think the world is a big place for all of us to succeed together if we really play the game right. So it's only that we don't play the game right. So there's so much of wealth that we could create together if we really play the game right. So, and that's what is my thought process. So, and I'm going to try it out for sure.
So Vic, if I came to you and I asked you, Vic, how do I play the game right? What advice would you give me?
See, what is your idea? First thing. So, is it something that wherein we have a moat or an edge? This is my favorite word. What is your edge? Or what is your moat? You have a clear moat, or have a clear edge. So the rest can all fall into place. The rest is all a well-written rule book on how do you get the product to market, how you may be able to make the sales. This is all pretty much predefined. So for them, that's what I'm helping them identify, asking them to redefine. See, I gave them a product idea, but I asked them to redefine. You guys are experts. I'm not the expert. I threw an idea at you, so come back to me with it's saying that, okay, this is the idea, nice, but try to answer the question, what is the moat? How can you reduce the 99.9% of your competitors? So if you're able to do that, then we'll go with the development process. So we're going to be able to support you, and we're going to be able to take it to the next level, go to market, all of this support, we're going to give you that. So, and I'm here to answer your question. So we came up with the idea. The same thing I'm going to ask, okay, what is the idea? what is the TAM, SAM, what is the moat, right? Once you have all of this defined, it's very, very easy. In today's market, at least in today's realm, in the AI realm, it's very, very easy to get a product to market at such low cost that at least the POC to be able to put in front of a client and say that, yeah, you know what, this is something that we identify. These are the gaps. And would you want to be our design partner? So once we have this design partner ecosystem created, it's very, very easy to go to market because you have one client who is happy to actually talk about you. And it becomes a force multiplier. Once you have one client speaking, you can actually sell it to 10 people. So
Gotcha. Well, I know AI does make it easy. I think delivery part of it is now democratized. At least that's how I'm thinking about it. The decision-making piece of it is still with humans. What is it that you're going to build? And I like the way you described it, which is what is your moat and how are you going to keep your competition at bay? I think that decision-making still comes from the human. Is there something in this AI narrative that we hear and read about that you look at it as a leader and say, that sounds like a lie to me? And what is that lie?
I think, we have Leonard on the AI Verity show. So that's the hype that we are trying to kind of quell. So you just cannot, in all candidness, there is so much of AI can do this, AI can do that, and all of this stuff. But when I speak to the CIOs, their simple question is, what is the value this idea is going to bring? One of the CIOs shared with me, a close friend of mine, he shared with me that one of his peers spent about 600K for a value of 100K. so,
Wow.
so, so, and that is what we don't want to be in. We don't want to really be in those kind of scenarios. If the value add is clearly defined, and of course you cannot get the final numbers at any point of time, right? But if thorough research is done in terms of we creating an AI workflow or an AI product, wherein the value add is clearly defined. For example, you create a virtual assistant wherein which reduces the number of calls that needs to be taken by your front desk by 40% or 42%, all of that stuff. That's a clear value proposition that can be defined. So also, if you're going to reduce the time of your infrastructure provisioning from about 1 month to about 2 to 3 days, value proposition clearly defined, right? So these are the kind of value props if a product owner or if an entrepreneur is able to speak, I think that will sell. But the rest are all just like the example that I quoted and all of that stuff. In the initial stages of our AI hype cycle, we did understand everything was, yes, we could sell everything. So just like the .com boom, we could sell everything. But today, even the executives and the end customers are becoming much more aware. And once that awareness comes in, questions will start to pop. And we are in the stage where questions are being popped on, okay, what is the value that I will get out of this? And if you're able to make a clear definition to that question, that will be a successful product. So I would say it's a GTM product. So hope I answer your question, Amir.
Yes, thank you.
I'm kind of curious, Vic. A lot of businesses, there's a part of the giving back for the most part, just like any nonprofit of a company, a lot of companies decide, hey, we want to give back. What is your company doing for giving back from all these 20 years? What are y'all doing on a giving back effort?
Thank you. That's something that I can talk for hours. So thank you for bringing it up. So as a company, somebody gave me an opportunity to come to the US and to be where we are today. So they supported me. I had my initial struggles when I came to the US. So that, I think, changed the way I look at life. And once we started the company, that has become a part of our ecosystem. So even everyone in our team, they are pretty much aware that that's how we think as a company. So if there is any opportunity to go and serve, if there is any opportunity to donate, we are always one of the first within our capabilities. So some of the examples were like when the Nepal earthquake happened, we were one of the first responders as a company because we have a good number of people from Nepal in our employee base. So we did not depend on third party. We had our employees go to Nepal carrying medicines and the purifiers, oxygen purifiers and all of that stuff. They actually went personally to be able to deliver those. We continued that through the food bank. And we also always continue to give to the students that need help in all over the world as such. But a recent thing that I'm very, very proud to share was we completed 20 years, like one last October. So rather than celebrating our 20th anniversary with wine and all the party and all of this stuff, we donated a good amount of our expense to Tackle Tomorrow, which helps underprivileged kids' education. We partner with Tech Allies. That's one of the organizations that we closely work with, and also Charles Haley, he being the NFL Hall of Famer, he decided to take it up. So it has been a part of our DNA just to give back. Whatever we can, happy to give back. And we want to be known as a company who is always giving back. It's not only a profiteering company, but if you're able to do something back, if you're able to do something for the community, I think one of my team members, they are so involved personally as well in the community building aspects, in the giving back aspects and all of that stuff. Most of the team members do have that in their DNA. So it actually makes a good synergy for us. When my team members also believe in the same thing, it's very, very easy for me to, as a CEO, to take the decision rather than having a party. Why don't we donate it for a good cause? So yeah, we're happy about that. So very, very happy. In fact, those are the things I can talk about, as I can just go around and round and round about it. It makes me feel happy.
No, that's good. I want to go into one piece, and it's around family. A lot of times we can't do what we do without family. I'm curious to know from your aspect how important family is for you to help you do what you do on a regular basis.
Oh my God, that's something that I don't talk about often because I keep it very, very private, but I will talk. I've been blessed with a wonderful wife and a daughter, a wonderful wife and a wonderful daughter. My wife, I think, if she is the most patient person God has blessed me with. So if she was not there, I don't think I would be doing what I am doing today. So never complained about anything. She just yesterday happens to be our 26th anniversary, and obviously, being an entrepreneur, I just cannot go and have a nice dinner. so I promised her I'm going to take her on the weekend. So yeah, she doesn't have many complaints. So, and which is one of the best part because it gives me such peace of mind to be able to focus on what I'm supposed to do is build an organization which will be remembered for centuries. So without her being there, I think I would have been lost. Not candidness. If I don't know how this dynamics work, but yeah, she's been a great support system. I would thank God for that. So
I think me and Amir was asked on another podcast what would be the one things we could not live without, and we both said it was our wives, and of course that means our family. So I definitely agree with that as well. I can't do what I do. I couldn't even do this podcast if I didn't have my wife around. So definitely, I always got to give her as many props as I can, you know, on a regular basis. I have to say, we're coming to time. We appreciate so much for you being on the podcast, but we ask everybody when we get close to the end, what's your theme music? What gets you ready for the day? You're CEO, so what gets you ready to be a leader to your business and to your company.
I think the most of the time I listen to the calming music and all of this stuff. But when I'm hyped up, I got this album of Empire of the Sun. So and it gets me hyped up. Walking on a Dream. So always get me hyped up. So gets me hyped up. So yeah. So that's what it is. But it has been a real pleasure to have been on the show. Renard and Amir, thanks a lot for having me today. And I really appreciate you kind of putting me into the corner and or putting me on the pedestal and getting things that I would have not shared with anybody except for because you asked the right questions. And I'm like, okay, do I answer it or not? But thanks a lot for doing it. Really appreciate
No,
it.
no. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a pleasure. And I will say to our Black Belts and Boardrooms audience, we will see you on the next one.